we find ourselves inside a library, and sitting in front of us is a girl named Alice. She asks us for our name, and we're given a menu to enter our name. Next, we're given 3 choices as our starting class. The knight with high attack and defense knows technique for lowering enemy attack and defense. The thief with high speed knows the technique for slaying foes in a single blow, begins with 1,000 bonus souls. The sorcerer with high magic and resistance knows Soul's Arrow from the start. You're free to choose whichever you like. Since these starting classes only affect the early game, I chose the knight because it looks the coolest. Then, we can choose one of 4 starting items. And again, it doesn't really matter which one you choose, you can get them later in the game. Finally, she asks us if we are interested in carnal acts, aka hentai. For me, it's really a no-brainer choice since I can't even show them on YouTube. And the scenes itself don't look that good anyway, with this weird art style. Yeah. The light starts flickering, signaling us that it is time to begin the story. Alice tells us that we are the main character and wishes us to not lose our hearts till the last. Then, this happens. This is one of the darkest, most messed up H game ever made, and my favorite game of all time. This is Black Souls. We found ourselves waking up in what seems like a prison cell. There's a guy patrolling in front of our cell, but there's no way to interact with him. Until suddenly, someone appears on the left side of the screen and kill the guy within the blink of an eye. This mysterious person turns to talk to us about God or something and leaves. Thanks to her, we can now grab the key from a dead guard and escape from this place. There are items that we can pick up along the way, and a sleeping guard that we do not need to provoke. But I did anyway because I'm dumb. Now, let me introduce you to the basics of the combat in Black Souls. Its combat is pretty much your average turn-based RPG combat. But do you see this bar here? This is your action bar, and you can make a move every time this bar fills up. The same applies to the enemy. Unlike every other RPG where investing in speed just means that you can start the turn first, the speed stats in this game are really important. As the more speed you have, the more action you can perform. Alright, tutorial is over. Let's get out of here. Once we escape, we will meet this mysterious person once again, and she was surprised to see us make it out alive. Her name is Jeanne d'Arc, and she's on a mission to investigate the fog that has been turning people into demon beasts. Jeanne then tags along and says that she'll safely escort us to the land of fairies. Now, if you couldn't tell, this Jeanne d'Arc is 100% inspired by the real-life Jeanne d'Arc, who fought in the 100 Years' War and was executed later for heresy. Or, if you're a Fate fan, this ruler from FGO or Archer or whatever class she is. Returning to the game, we swiftly make our way to the exit of this fort, and Jeanne stops to ask us to lend our strength to her for her mission of saving the people who are suffering. In typical RPG tradition, Jeanne is definitely our first teammate and the one who will guide us throughout the entirety of the game. Unfortunately, this is not your typical RPG, so a fucking dragon came out of nowhere and burned her to death. Now we have to face this dragon on our own. Of course, a level 1 baby like me would not be able to defeat the dragon and die. Luckily for us, we are undead, which means we can never truly die, and we came back to life to see ourselves now in the land of the fairies that Jeanne was talking about, the Holy Forest. There are multiple things to do here, but let's start off by touching the bonfire. Wow, would you look at that? Just like Dark Souls, huh? Okay, let me get this out of the way first. Black Souls is heavily inspired by Dark Souls, and you can find a lot of mechanics or quirks that are also present in Dark Souls. For example, souls being the currency used in the game, you can kill whichever NPC you want for shit and giggles. You need to go through a fog first before triggering a boss fight, and many more. Anyway, after lighting the bonfire, we can talk to this rabbit here, who is called the Prayer Master. He tells us that someone carry us here, and we can treat this place as a sanctuary or sort. He also sells stuff to us and helps us level up by giving him souls. Before we can start exploring the world of Black Souls, let me quickly explain the main objective of the game. So, there's a demonic princess who has been releasing some kind of fog that turns people into demon beasts. And we, of course, have to stop her. This is the map that's inside your game file. The demonic princess that we have to defeat is located over here, the Lost Empire. But to gain access to the Lost Empire, we either have to defeat or enter the covenant of 4 other demonic princesses. Located in each of these places, they are marked with a dot. You can proceed in any order you like, and this game doesn't restrict you from going to places that are filled with strong enemies. Alright, now that we understand what our goal is, it's time to set forth on this journey of defeating the big bad guy. There are 3 separates that we can choose, which are up, right, and down, in which I chose the upper path and met our first companion in the game, the green fairy, Leaf. She kinda just joins without us doing anything, yap about some unhinged shit, and left. But now we have a companion. Black Souls has a pretty interesting set of mechanics that are different from most RPGs. In Black Souls, your companions don't really stay in your team, and you have to summon them manually every time if you want them to fight with you. Cool idea and all, but I just find it too annoying to use, so I never really summoned any companion in any fights. Anyway, we proceeded through the forest, fought some enemies, and picked up some items like breadcrumbs along the way, until we reached a bonfire and look who's here. We went to talk to her and she started talking about how we picked up some markers or how some children will never find their way back home. Leaf, what the fuck are you talking about? Continuing on our way, we finally found an exit to the forest and discovered the witch's house. Interacting with the fog and heading inside the house, we can find 2 talking demon beasts, and they wanted to eat us the moment they saw us. The blue one is called Hansel, and the red one is called Gretel. Hansel and Gretel is a fairy tale created by the brothers Grimm, and it tells the story about a pair of siblings, Hansel and Gretel, who were abandoned by their parents because they could no longer afford to feed their children. They later found a house made out of cake, and they kill a witch that are trying to eat them or something. I don't know much about the story of Hansel and Gretel myself, but I'm pretty sure they don't look like that. Anyway, a boss is a boss, and there's nothing I can do other than kill them. Damn it. I could not beat either of them after trying for so many times, so I kinda just gave up and went in a different direction instead. I returned to the Holy Forest and went to the right this time, into the Behemoth Ranch. Along the way, we found a harpy named Goose that was trained up by some big brothers, and she pleaded with us to release her. Although I do have a master key in my inventory, I don't remember why, but I just didn't use it on her and kinda left her there. Oops. There's a red house located in the middle of the area, and there's a sign that reads, War-Renowned Animal Band, the Bremen Musicians. Whoever you are, please visit. Visitors will pay the price. What? Entering the house, there are the Bremen Musicians, and they sound like shit. Oh, I think they hurt me. Damn it. Once again, I cannot, for love of God, beat these animals, and so I went back to the witch's house and challenged Hansel and Gretel for the 50th time. However, I was locked in this time and beat their asses with my intense gamer skills. Beating those twos allow us to gain access to the house. And heading upstairs, we found someone sitting at the table. Meet the witch, Dorothy. She's very clearly the Dorothy in The Wizard of Oz. I've never watched or read The Wizard of Oz, so I don't really know much about it. All I know that is the movie production team used asbestos in one of their scenes for the movie. Talking to Dorothy, she'll ask us to show her the book we got earlier when we defeated Hansel and Gretel. She says that those summoned will return to the book after being defeated. Huh, interesting. After that, she returned the book to us, and now there's an option that asks her to take us in as an apprentice, which she only agrees to if we have a certain amount of magic stats. Dorothy will then give us a quest to hunt down 3 specific demon beasts: the Scarecrow, the Tin Woodman, and the Lion. The Lion is inside a warehouse that is just right behind the witch's house. First and foremost, fuck this piece of shit Lion. He doesn't really attack and only defends or evades, which means we are stuck here until we slowly chips down his big, fat health bar. It took me 10 mind-numbing minutes to finally kill his ass. Next, the Scarecrow is located in the abandoned forest, standing next to 2 other normal scarecrows. Lastly, Tin Woodman can be found in Behemoth Ranch right after we have entered the area. Once we've killed all 3 of them, we can report back to Dorothy for a special reward, in which she gives us a foot job. We can also now summon her in battles now. Wow! After that shenanigans, we proceeded to the warehouse, took the ladder down, and entered the sewers. The sewers are just sewers. There's not much to talk about other than there are a lot of rats roaming around in here. There's a clown looking guy here surrounded by skeletons and rats. Pied Piper of Elixir is what it's called. Pied Piper is a character in a story about how he lured children away by playing his pipe, and the children were never seen again. So the skeletons around him most likely are the children he lured away from the town. Yikes. Although I could kill him for a psychopath that he is, there's really no benefit to doing so, and he did give me some souls, so I just ignored him and went on my way. Climbing up the ladders leading towards the exit, we arrive at a place called the Rottenberg. This place is probably the most normal looking place in this game. There's a lot of man-made structure here, the noises from the hustling and bustling street, and ordinary human NPCs walking around. What the fuck? Sorry, I lied. Rottenberg is one of the most fucked up places in Black Souls, and the enemies in this area look so grotesque compared to any other enemies from different areas. However, there is a brothel in this area with actual normal, non-aggressive NPCs in here. There are 3 rooms here on the right, and the first 2 are occupied. Knocking on the 3rd door, we can hear a voice coming from the inside, inviting us to enter. Inside the room, there's Mariana, and we could choose to buy her body for 10,000 souls. I mean, maybe something good will happen if I buy her service. I mean, it's not like I want to watch the scenes or whatever. Pfft. After doing the deed, now there's an option to invite her to the Holy Forest, which she declined because she likes it here more. Great, I just wasted 10,000 souls that I could have used to level myself up instead. Continuing on our way of exploring the Rottenberg, we found a shop. This peculiar little shop is owned by a girl named Elma, and the only thing she sells are matches. Anyway, we left the shop and continue on until we reach a huge mansion, head inside the mansion and proceed upstairs. There's a demon beast that is seemingly violating multiple women to death. Despite how terrifying this boss looks, he's, funnily enough, the weakest boss in the game. I beat him within the first try without much effort. After killing the Iron King, we head inside the room on the right and found a girl named Victoria. She told us that the king just appeared one day and took over the town, turning it into one big brothel. She also asked us for some souls, otherwise she'll vanish. For only 1,000 souls? Damn, what steal! But, sorry girl, I kinda want to level up first, so See you later. Behind the staircase, there's a door leading to the next area. Unfortunately, I was out of master keys, and instead, I went inside the building on the left of the mansion. Coming out of the hallway, I was hit with this almost nauseating pink, filling up the screen, and constant high-pitched laughing in the background. It's a very unsettling place, filled with enemies that I certainly do not have the stats to beat. The enemies here are fast and able to one-shot you without you getting a turn. The worst thing is, this place is filled with tons and tons of them. It is almost impossible to explore this place while avoiding them. Unless, in this game, there are two ways that you can turn yourself invisible and avoid getting detected by enemies. You could either use the item, Unseen Powder, or use the spell, Hidden Body. Remember earlier in the video where I fought the animal band? If you manage to defeat them, you can open the chest in the room and obtain the second best spell in the game, Hidden Body. This spell is a godsend if you hate getting interrupted by enemies every 5 seconds. And having it is such a quality of life. Now, with this spell, you can safely explore old Rottenberg without needing to worry about getting one shot. Reaching the end of this place, there is a church. And inside the church is a bunch of succubus cackling in a very uncomfortable noise. Touching the fog and will trigger a boss fight with Divine Mystic Lilith. She's an optional boss that we do need to beat to complete the game, but she did mention a really important name, Mary Sue. Keep this name on your mind, as the name Mary Sue will come up multiple times during the playthrough. Obviously, I'm extremely underleveled and got killed instantly. Damn it. Without a master key to proceed further, I decided to head back to the Holy Forest and found a new stranger resting on the bench here. Talking to her reveals that she is a souls merchant. By souls, I mean these souls orb. They will increase your stat by 1 after usage. These are definitely very good items to have, but holy shit, 10,000 souls for 1 souls orb? It's literally daylight robbery over here. If I really want my stats to increase, I'd rather get myself killed since I'll get 1 black souls every time I die, and this increase of my stats by 1. Also, that's the name of the game! I'm sorry, I can't help myself. After calling out Elizabeth for her outrageous pricing, we climb down the stairs here and start descending this very long hallway. At the very bottom, we found a new NPC named Lopes, who can upgrade our weapons with ore shards, and I should have come down here way sooner than I have. Anyway, heading outside, and we have arrived at Graveyard Town Elixir. Walking to the right here and interacting with this old man, he'll start rambling about how the rats ruined this place and it was the Pied Piper who did all this. He also mentioned Mary Sue, calling her the creator. I wonder who this Mary Sue is supposed to be. Moving on from that, by entering one of the many houses here, there's a friendly NPC called Black Arbiter Hein. He told us that he's part of an organization named the Black Trial, and their purpose is to execute sinners to bring peace and harmony to the war. Oh, he also sells us black souls as well. That's nice and all, but it's much cheaper to just kill myself. Anyway, at the top of this town is a cathedral. Inside the cathedral is yet another fog. Damn. The dog Patrashi and the boy who just got mauled by the dog, Nello, are the same characters from the novel A Dog of Flanders. This story is quite popular in Japan, receiving an anime adaptation in 1975 and a movie in 1997. By the way, the soundtrack used in this boss fight is so good. One of the best things about fighting a boss is always listening to the amazing soundtrack. Oh yeah, I can't beat the dog. Damn it. Getting my ass whooped as always, I move on to the next area. Heading to the left of the street and through this alleyway, we found a ladder that takes me to the tainted bog. This is the worst area in the entire game. Like the same with any Souls games, it's a swamp area. But not just any swamp, a poison swamp. We have to endure the screen flashing red every step we take, although it doesn't flash the screen too intensely, but it's still a minor annoyance. We could find a ring that negates poison damage, as Leaf states, but I could not find where the ring is, so yeah. Anyway, keep on proceeding to the right, and I found my very first demonic princess, Princess Frog. She asks if we are a prince or not. If we choose no, she'll immediately attack us. Choosing yes, however, she will tell us that she's under a curse that if she doesn't have sex with the prince soon, she'll get turned into a frog. Oddly enough, in the original story, it is the prince who got turned into a frog, and it was the princess who needed to kiss the frog. But the role is reversed in this game. Now, we have the option to either enter her covenant by giving her what she wants, or simply kill her. Neither of these options will affect the story, and you can pick whatever you like. I picked the first option because I'm doing a pacifist run. Yeah, that's the reason. Wait, what do you mean my level decreases? Motherfucker just drained me! So yeah, don't join her covenant if you don't want your hard-earned levels gone in an instant. Frog does give us a ring, however, after draining us, and it's a decent ring as it applies random status effects to enemies. But fuck you, you slut of a frog. We might have been drained, but life goes on. So we continue on to the next area. Walking up the path from the bonfire in Graveyard Town is an area called the Skeleton Maze. As the name suggests, it's a maze filled with skeleton enemies. Very creative. In one of the caves, there's a friendly NPC, Shaman 𝐻𝑒𝓃𝓉𝒶𝒾. He tells us that he has the ability to revive a certain character if we bring him her ashes and a kraken's tentacles. Well, let's get reviving then. For the ashes, we need to head back to Rottenberg and gain access to the door behind the mansion staircase. That door will take us to Fort Ivern, the very first area we were in at the start of the game. While climbing our way to the top of the fort, we'll meet an old friend, the dragon that killed us at the beginning of the game. But this time it's different, old pal. With the power of leveling up and good weapons, this dragon is no match for us. At the top, we picked up the ashes and took a trip back to the prison that we was once locked up in. Ah, look at how far we've come. Hold on, the ugly duckling? The ugly duckling is a story of a duckling who gets bullied by other ducklings for his ugly looks, and at the end, it turns out that the ugly duckling is actually a swan. Wow. Anyway, I don't know why the ugly duckling in this game is dressed up as a royal palace guard, but what I do know is that he's a piece of shit. He blinds you, causing your attacks to miss, all while speeding himself up, while slowing you down simultaneously. And he also evades. Damn it. Let's move on that and focus on our task at hand, which is reviving Jeanne. I have retrieved Jeanne's ashes. Now it's time to get a kraken's tentacles. Turning to the right on the path here at the abandoned forest, we arrive at a sea of trash. It sure is trash, since it is another poison swamp area. Pushing our way through this hellhole, we will encounter the kraken. Beating it will get us the item we need for the revival of Jeanne, kraken's tentacles. With both items in hand, let's head back to the cave and ask 𝐻𝑒𝓃𝓉𝒶𝒾 to revive Jeanne then. Although 𝐻𝑒𝓃𝓉𝒶𝒾 successfully brought Jeanne back to life, she's in dire need of souls, otherwise she would be dead again. We can of course help her, or do that, I guess. After some good old mana transfer, Jeanne is fully back, and she offered to help us during our journey to repay us. Yes, another companion that I won't summon in battle. At the same time, while returning to the Holy Forest, I found 3 fellas hanging around here. Saint Catherine and 2 other guys no one cares about. Since there's not really a way to interact with them, we just leave them there for the time being. Making our way back to the Behemoth Ranch, this time I decided to take the path to the north, and immediately there's a fog right in front of us. This place looks like a ruin, and I guess this guy is the culprit. Beat his ass, and there's a book we can pick up here near this skeleton. The sign here also tells us what really happened, and the truth is, these 3 pigs had a behemoth as a pet, but as it grew larger and larger, they could no longer keep it in control, and the behemoth killed them. What's the hyena's role in this? I don't know. Moving forward from that, we reach Jacob's disused mine. At this very bonfire, if you talk to Liv here, she'll say something about how it is our choice to save people or leave them to die, and our choice carries weight. It's an interesting message and all, but there's literally a dying guy right next to a bonfire. The game immediately gave us the option to either save him or end his misery. He'll give us some items if we decide to save him, and I guess that choice carries weight, huh? After that weird interaction, it's time to fight the boss in this area, which is the behemoth that we just mentioned. Of course, with my current stats and the help of the Frog Princess's ring, I easily beat, damn it. Hey, where's it going? Apparently the behemoth would just leave if you couldn't beat it in first try. What's this, Monster Hunter? Since the boss left the area, we proceeded to the next area, which is Gothel's Tower, one of the demonic princess's territories. Stepping inside the tower, I immediately sense that something is off. It's too quiet, and there's not a single enemy in the entire tower. Even Liv starts questioning where everyone went, or if they are all dead already. Continuing our way to the top, we can see a dying dragon thing lying on the ground, saying a huge beast has eaten everyone, and he tells a person who's called Rapunzel to escape with his last dying breath. At this point, the uneasiness I've been feeling is growing more and more. Something has gone wrong here. I went up the staircase to only find the behemoth once again. This time, however, it wouldn't run to a different area even if you die, and eventually, I managed to kill it. After that, I went ahead and picked up the item on the throne. It's a book named Rapunzel, one of the demonic princess. Oh, she's dead. She got killed by the behemoth because I couldn't beat it, which allowed the behemoth to go ahead and murder everyone in the tower. I messed up and got Rapunzel killed, and I couldn't just load the save files since I've overwritten them. This free moment here is what made me realize everything I do or fail to do in this game has dire consequences. What has happened has already happened. It is already too late. And now all I can do is just keep moving forward. Now let's focus on the next demonic princess, who is located in the Garden of Snow. To get there, we need to go through the 𝐻𝑒𝓃𝓉𝒶𝒾 Desert first. And whoo boy, this area sure is a giant pain in the ass. 𝐻𝑒𝓃𝓉𝒶𝒾 Desert is a huge area that loops back in itself, and it's pretty annoying to navigate through this place without a guide. Before we go, it's a must to talk to this little guy here and give him some milk that we can obtain from this cow at the Behemoth Ranch. By giving him the milk, he'll help us navigate the desert at an insane speed, which is much appreciated. Here are some points of interest in the desert. First, from the starting point, if we walk a little downwards and to the left, there is a bonfire. Next up, walk upward from the starting point and we'll reach an oasis. Walk to the right from there and we'll discover a ruin with a locked gate. Through the gate and the tunnel below, we'll reach the Garden of Snow, the area where Snow White resides. Right after that, if we walk to the top left from the oasis, we can find a patch of grass surrounded by 5 cacti. An item on the grass is a desert rose, an important item that we'll need later down the road. Lastly, from the ruin, walk upwards and there will be a pyramid with a giant boss that I'll talk about later. Now that's out of the way, let's continue on our quest to meet Snow White. After dodging some enemies and finally reaching Snow White's castle, the first thing we'll notice is that the place is not looking very good, with cracks on the wall and the floor, but most importantly, there are a lot of people who are froze up in an ice block, but they can still talk to you. Unaware of the fact that they are, frozen. Heading down towards the basement, we meet the one and only Snow White, and her 7 dwarfs of course. Snow White appears to be talking to a mirror, asking it the very question that her stepmom asked the magic mirror. Magic mirror on the wall, who is the fairest one of all? If we ask to join Snow White's covenant, she'll agree only if we murder every other demonic princess first. Seems like an extreme condition. Let's just hold our decision for now and move on to the next demonic princess. Before that, however, I decided to revisit Rottenberg for no particular reason at all. Taking a trip back to the brothel, all of the friendly NPCs are dead and it was now all run by enemies. Going into the third room, instead of Mariana, there's a red slime in the room. What even happened here? If this place has already gone to shit, what about the match shop? Upon entering the match shop, Elma is talking to what seems like her mother, who has turned into a demon beast. After the dialogue, Elma's mom will attack Elma, and if we can't stop her in time, Elma will be eaten by her mom. Though even if you did manage to stop Elma's mom, Elma, after witnessing the death of her mother, becomes so devastated that she'll storm out of the shop. Now, where did she go? I've searched everywhere and there's not a sight of her. Until I went down to the sewers. At this spot where the pipe piper was, there's now a fog blocking the path. Going through the fog, we can see there's now a bloodstain on the wall which wasn't there before. And the item in front of it is a book called Little Match Girl. By speaking to the pipe piper and asking if he had seen the girl, he revealed to us that he had killed her. Yet again, I fucked up because I didn't end this psychopath's life, which caused the death of Elma. Actually, you know what? I'll show you how much I fucked up. Remember Goose the harpy? She turned into this creepy looking demon beast because I forgot to rescue her in time. How about Victoria, who is still at the mansion? She committed suicide because I didn't feed her any soul. Wow, I must be really bad at this game, huh? Although I might have messed up big time, there's nothing I can do anymore but to continue forward. And let's meet the next demonic princess, the Little Mermaid. To get to her, we need to get a specific item from Snow White's castle. On this table here, we can pick up the letter that contains the invitation to Atlantica, where the Little Mermaid is. Then, we need to go through the skeleton maze, fight the boss that tries to jump scare us with a low quality PNG, and get to a beach where there's a magical thingy that can teleport us to Atlantica if we have the invitation in our possession. Welcome to Atlantica, an area that sucks massive balls. The enemies in this area perfectly blend into the background, and it's really hard to dodge them without the invisible skills. Even then, they are so difficult to spot that you run into them accidentally. Great map design. The bonfire in Atlantica is located over here in this hotel, Hotel Poseidon. This place has a unique mechanic that lets you invite your companion to spend the night with you. And neither of you is allowed to leave until you two have sex, or one of you dies. Basically, it's the you can't leave unless you have sex kind of room. Hotel Poseidon will come into play later in the video, so let's leave it here for now. After painfully navigating Atlantica, we have finally reached Little Mermaid's humble abode, and she can be found playing a piano. Interacting with her and asking to join her covenant, she'll agree to do so if we sacrifice one of our companions to her. The funny thing is, if you decide to sacrifice Leaf, since she won't die because she's a fairy and fairies can die, Leaf will actually comment on it. and she's still alive even though you sacrifice her. Anyway, sacrificing my companion to her does not seem like it's worth the price, so I decided to kill her. After that, I went back to the frog and killed her as well so that I could join Snow White's covenant. With that, all 4 of the demonic princesses have been dealt with. And it's time for us to meet the final demonic princess, the one who has been causing all these tragedies in this world, Cinderella. To reach her, however, we need to go through quite a lot of obstacles, as with any final boss in any RPG. Let us begin our final journey to the last area of the game, the Lost Empire. The Lost Empire can be accessed from Fort Ivern by going up the staircase until we meet this woman called Beauty La Belle, who is a very obvious Belle from Beauty and the Beast. She yapped about some random ass shit and left. Then we'll be blocked by this giant armor dude that meows. The soundtrack of this boss fight goes insanely hard. Anyway, after beating the dude, it turns out that instead of a huge buff guy, it's 5 cats inside the armor. What? Continuing our way, we'll reach the gate leading to the Lost Empire. But before that, let's talk to Liv for the final time. She reveals to us that her mom gave Cinderella too much power, and she uses that power to rule the world. First of all, your mom did what? Second of all, this literally came out of nowhere. Liv then tells us that she wants to always be with us and gives us a ring as a lucky charm, which is a really sweet thing for her to do. Liv, you might be a little unhinged at times, but you stay with us from the very beginning, and I appreciate that. Anyway, let's go through that gate then. Upon entering, we are greeted by Belle, and yet again she yaps about how we shouldn't continue or she'll kill us, yada yada yada, teleports away, who cares. Now we can freely explore the Lost Empire until we've reached the midway point, where we'll meet Belle, who actually fights us this time instead of yapping. Honestly, what even is her purpose in the story, other than being Cinderella's guard dog? She's not one of the demonic princesses, we can't interact with her normally, and she has little to no screen time. The only interesting thing she does is that she actually begs for our mercy after the fight, which no boss has ever done before. I chose to let her go because pacifist runs and all. Now, let's move on from that and focus on our task at hand. After going through this annoying looping maze, walking down the hallway and up the glass staircase, we'll finally face the one and only Cinderella. Not before we beat her knights first, Knight of the Sun Apollo and Knight of the Wind Boreas. These two are from Aesop's fable, The North Wind and the Sun. This story is about the North Wind and the Sun having a competition to see who is stronger by trying to make a guy take off his cloak. In short, the Sun wins, and look at how smug it looks. After beating these two, we can finally confront Cinderella. With that, the final boss of Black Souls has been defeated. And on the throne, where she once sat, there's a fog on top of it. We have the option to touch the fog alone, or with someone else, who is obviously going to be our companion, but only if they are over level 99, which I do not have. Before touching the fog, however, I decided to pay Snow White one last visit since she was asking for me to return once I've killed Cinderella. Back at Snow White's castle and telling her the news, she's overjoyed and laughing hysterically. Then she started crying, saying that she remembers something. Her final request is for us to always remember them. Mary Sue, the name we have been hearing from times to times. Who exactly is this person? And what's her role in this story? For now, there's no answer to that question, so I went back to Cinderella's place and touched the fork alone. That was ending B. An ending that doesn't really explain anything, and it's quite obvious that this is the bad ending. After the credits roll, however, we will be sent back to the state before we touch the fog. If we head towards where we meet Leaf for the first time, there's now a green orb that lets us transition to the next cycle, which is basically New Game Plus. In this playthrough, I have messed up a lot of things and failed to save every companion in the game. This is the chance for me to go back and fix everything. This time, I will save all of them. We are back at a time where we first arrived at the Holy Forest. Since we've already established the fact that our companions will die if we take too long to save them, it's important that we save them as soon as we can, before something bad happens to them. Before that, let me show you guys a little secret. If you keep clicking on the crack here on the wall, you'll obtain 2 rings. One increases item drop rate, and the other increases souls gain from enemies. These 2 rings are incredibly helpful if you want to speed up the process of grinding for souls. Now that the problem of not having enough souls is solved, it's time to deal with the problem of strong bosses that might one-shot us. Who knows if there's another behemoth in the game that will kill someone if you fail to beat it. In that case, I have the perfect build that is extremely OP to the point that nothing poses as threat anymore. Behold, the magic build that can take on the entire war. This build requires 2 spells and 2 equipment to complete. But just having the 2 spells is good enough. Having the 2 equipment is a major quality of life. The spells we need for this build are called Power Within and Heavy Soul Discharge. Power Within can be found on the path here at the Tainted Bog, and this spell greatly increases our magic at the cost of depleting our HP every turn. Heavy Soul Discharge, though, is a little tricky to get. In order to get the spellbook for Heavy Soul Discharge, we need to beat the nameless demon located in the Forest of Sabbath, a DLC area filled with strong enemies. Once we have beaten the boss, the spellbook can be picked up on the bookshelf here. With these 2 spells, we can basically finish any bosses in the game within 2 turns. But this isn't good enough. We need to become even stronger. Sorcerer's Staff can be found in Dorothy's room, and if we upgrade the staff to +10, using spells no longer consumes any MP. There's also a certain ring in the game that lets us act twice in a turn, which means we don't need to waste a turn to use Power Within and are able to attack in the very first turn. I'll show you guys where to get the ring later in the video. So for now, this is what the ultimate build in Black Souls is. But I'll warn you guys first. This build will trivialize any challenge in the game, and I don't recommend trying it unless you have had a really hard time while playing this game. Anyway, enough yapping, it's time to save them all. Here is the list of companions we can obtain in the game. Leaf has already joined us, so there's no need to worry about her. First, let's go to Dorothy's house and finish her quest. By the way, while we're in the abandoned forest, if we manage not to pick up any breadcrumbs on the ground, something will change. Now instead of 2 demon beasts, there's 2 kids in here, Hansel and Gretel. Since in the fairy tale, these 2 use the breadcrumbs to find their way back home, picking those up will result in them losing their markers, and they will be unable to return home. So now, because we didn't pick up those breadcrumbs, they are normal and not some kind of monster anymore. We can now talk to them and we can give them candy and stuff Just don't touch that option. Heading outside, there's now a guy standing there. Approaching him will have him startled, and he'll ask us if we are one of the Black Trouts. Continue talking to him, and he will reveal to us that Gretel and Hansel are his family, and they are going to turn into demon beasts soon. So he wants to feed them some souls to save their lives. But he's too nervous to do so, and he asks us if we can get him a medicine from Elma, which is the match that costs 5,000 souls each. Since I already have some matches in my inventory, I gave them to him immediately. He then thanked us, drank the medicine, and headed straight into the house. Following him into the house, we can see that Gretel and Hansel don't even know who this guy who claimed to be their brother is.
Oh my god!
The guy proceeds to turn into a demon beast, and it's very clear that he's not a very good person. Bye bye! After seeing them both, we'll trigger an event. Gretel and Hansel say that they still don't have enough souls, and will turn into demon beasts soon if we don't feed them some souls. Gretel wants us to feed him souls, which Hansel ridicules him for the fact that he can't do that, for he is a boy. And soul feed is a ceremony between a man and a woman. Anyway, there is no way to choose no as an option, even if you do not want to do it. There are only 3 options, which are choosing Gretel, choosing Hansel, or both of them. If we want both of them to stay alive, choose both of them. Choosing only one of them results in the one who didn't get chosen running out of the house and turning into a demon beast in the abandoned forest. I do want to mention that if you choose to feed souls to Gretel instead of Hansel, she'll crash out really hard. And when you go fight her in her demon beast form, she'll say this. I can't believe this is real. Anyway, we have now saved both of them. Great! Let's head upstairs to meet Dorothy. I want to be your apprentice. Accept the quest. Bam bam bam. Report the quest. Give me your feet. There we go. Another companion get. Next up is the maid, Victoria. Head over to the Rottenberg and gain inside the mansion. Go upstairs and kill the Iron King. Enter the door and meet Victoria. Feed her 1,000 souls, which she actually took 5,000 souls instead. There we have it. The easiest companion to get in the game. Next on the list is Jeanne. Same as I've mentioned before. Head to the skeleton maze, talk to 𝐻𝑒𝓃𝓉𝒶𝒾, picked up Jeanne's ashes and tentacles from the boss. Revive Jeanne, sex, welcome to the team. Moving on. Goose the Harpy. Head to the Behemoth Ranch, release her using a master key, and she'll stay at the Holy Force. She even works as a banker, letting us store our souls with her in case we lose them. It's nice and all if she didn't run away after we gave her more than 1,000 souls. We can then find her hiding in a tent at the Sea of Trash, and confronting her about it, she'll ask for our forgiveness. Do not, and I repeat, do not forgive her. If we choose to forgive her here, she'll run away again, and later be found dead in the Lost Empire. What we're supposed to do is choose not to forgive her 3 times in a row, and then ask her to stay by our side, which she'll take it as a love confession and join us. By the way, I don't know which of these 2 fairy tales Goose is based on. The goose that laid the golden eggs, or the golden goose. Both of these has no direct correlation to Goose's character in the game. So I would say she's based on the banker that steals your money in Hollow Knight. For now, we've saved every single companion that is available at the current time. So let's progress through the game then. I've decided to face against the Behemoth once again. But this time, because I have the power of God on my side, I one-shot his ass and arrive at the Gothel's tower. Without the invasion of the Behemoth, this place is in its original state, and it's pretty fucking annoying. The enemies here, for some reason, can see through our invisibility, which makes it a giant pain in the ass to navigate through this place. After dodging all these enemies, we are finally here. And look at her. Rapunzel is safe and sound. With Rapunzel being alive, we can now choose to join her covenant. And the condition for that is to find her a desert rose, the item I talked about before, and that's it. No draining or killing one for companions or murdering every other demonic princess. Just a simple flower, and she'll let us join her covenant. After that, she'll give us the best ring in the entire game, which grants us the ability to perform 2 actions in a single turn. With Rapunzel's ring, we are now truly unstoppable. By the way, if we try to exit the conversation, Rapunzel will stop us from leaving before we tell her we really need to go, which then she'll let us go unwillingly. That's it, Rapunzel is the best demonic princess out of all 4 of them. No competition. With that out of the way, I went on and killed the other princesses as their condition to join their covenant is as bye bye frog, bye bye fish, bye bye oh, before dealing with Snow White, let's get back to saving the rest of the companions. Since dealing with all 4 of the demonic princesses will trigger some events that might or might not mess up our chance of saving them. Getting back to our list, the companion next up is Elizabeth. After a certain amount of progress, Elizabeth will be in the area north of the Holy Forest. Talking to her will reveal that she has lost a ring that she received from her husband, and told us that she might have lost it in the abandoned forest. Her ring can be found on this specific enemy here, right next to the chest. Once we have returned the ring to her, she'll thank us and ask us if we want any rewards. Don't choose to have sex, I know it's very tempting. Instead, choose the option at the bottom. She'll insist on giving us a reward and decides to aid us in our battles. Elizabeth apparently has many daughters. All of them are nobles and beauties except for one. I wonder if we can meet this one daughter of hers somewhere. Continue to the next companion is Elma. For Elma, as long as we kill her mom before she attacks her and kill the Pied Piper beforehand, she'll appear in Holy Force, and all we need to do is just console her, which she appreciates a lot, and she decides to join our team. Next up is the Saint, Catherine. Catherine will appear with her escorts at the Holy Force after some progression, and she'll leave soon after. The place she ended up in is inside a cave in the skeleton maze. We need to first beat the 2 escorts who have now turned into demon beasts, and we can find her lying on the ground unconscious. Waking her up, she found her 2 escorts had died and got pretty upset. Oddly, we can't ask her to join us yet, and she decides to find refuge somewhere, even though she can just stay at the Holy Forest. The place Catherine took refuge in is inside the cathedral at Graveyard Town Elixir. Talking to her, and we'll find out that she's having an existential crisis, and the only way to convince her to join us is by summoning Jeanne, who just so happens to be a saint like Catherine. Jeanne will tell us to have sex with Catherine or else she'll die, which I did, and that's the way to let her stay at the Holy Forest. Yeah. The second to last companion is Miranda. Miranda is a member of the Black Trial, and she can be found anywhere without a certain condition. That condition being, we need to have 5 or more sins for her to appear. What is this sins stat, you might ask? Whenever we commit anything bad, such as killing innocent NPCs or rape, 1 sin will be added. Once we've accumulated 5 sins or more, the Black Trial will start hunting us down in random locations. Usually it's this guy who would hunt us down, but only in the Tainted Bog, a special enemy named Miranda will appear and be the one who is going after us. Every time a Black Trial member has appeared, it will play this sick soundtrack in the background, and it makes me feel like I need to run now. I really like this soundtrack a lot, if I didn't have to listen to it on repeat for so long. When the message appears that someone is coming after us in the Tainted Bog, what it actually means is that someone would come after us only if we are close to them. So to find Miranda and fight her, I've searched through and through in this place to find her, with the screen flashing red for every step I take because it's a fucking poison swamp and I don't have the ring that can resist poison. After wandering around this hellhole for quite some time, I finally found Miranda, beat her ass, and had her join the team. By the way, you need to look out for these sins, as having too much will have dire consequences, such as Catherine committing suicide, or Jeanne leaving the force and became a demon beast later on in the Lost Empire. Damn, Jeanne Outer looks very different in this game, huh? So just make sure not to let it go past 10, and talk to this guy here who can let you reduce your sins by paying him some souls. The last one on the list is Red Hood. Red Hood is obviously based on the fairy tale Red Riding Hood, a story about a girl visiting her ill grandma, the big bad wolf that is trying to eat them both. For Red Hood, we need to ride this boat that will be available after a certain amount of progress and go towards the left of the river, where we'll encounter this horrifying looking boss. Ew. After that, we arrive at Red Hood's house. Entering it and going upstairs, we can find her sleeping, and there's an option to wake her up or undress her. Yep. Anyway, after waking her up, she'll ignore us and instead go downstairs to feed her pet wolf. She'll tell us to leave if we try to talk to her now, so let's do that and head right back in. Red Hood is now back in her room resting, and if we talk to her, we can pay her 3,000 souls for service. For her to join our team, however, we need to give her 100,000 souls, which is a lot, but since I have my souls from the last playthrough, plus the ones I've obtained during this playthrough, I have more than enough to pay her. So welcome to the Holy Forest, Red Hood. When we talk to Red Hood in the forest, she'll recognize Elizabeth as her mother. I guess she's the daughter that Elizabeth loves. Red Hood will then ask us if she should meet up with her mom. Of course, go and talk to your mom. I'm sure you guys could clear up some misunderstandings between you two, and Elizabeth will change her mind about you. That's not what happened. Do not let Red Hood talk to Elizabeth. If you did, Elizabeth would turn into a demon beast, and there's no way to save her from this point. I mean, how are we supposed to save someone who has turned into a fucking Iron Maiden? I don't have a command spell or anything that can command her to turn back into this or this. Sorry, I won't bring up fate again. With that, every single companion in the game has been recruited. And look at how lively the Holy Forest has become. This sight is what will bring me the happy ending. I'm sure of it. By the way, I highly recommend that you summon and use your companion more in the battles, especially boss battles. A lot of them have special dialogues while facing certain bosses, and some of these dialogues might even include important lore for some companions. Some of the dialogues are also really funny. Anyway, let's continue on to the main objective and kill Cinderella. Oh yeah, you guys might be wondering why my character looks different now. That's because I changed my character sprite in the recollection room that you can access by interacting with this book. To obtain this specific sprite though, we need to do a series of side quests of rescuing this guy here called 𝐻𝑒𝓃𝓉𝒶𝒾, a weak ass motherfucker that can be found at the bottom right of the stairs, surrounded by enemies. Later he can be found at Graveyard Town Elixir, surrounded by enemies again, and after saving him, he reveals to us that Cinderella is his mom. Huh? Next up, he'll end up in the Holy Forest after we've defeated or joined the covenant of the 4 demonic princesses. Finally, he can be found dying right before the staircase that leads to Cinderella. Finishing 𝐻𝑒𝓃𝓉𝒶𝒾's side quest allows us to change into his appearance. Are they looking cool as hell? The one thing that this sprite can do is make Cinderella mistake us for her son, whom she is very eager to meet and wants us to join her covenant. I guess we're the motherfucker now, huh? Joining Cinderella's covenant doesn't really achieve anything other than getting one weird H scene, except she did mention the one who gave her her power, the fairy godmother. I suppose that is Liv's mom that she talked about briefly at the entrance of the Lost Empire. Anyway, bye Cinderella. Finally, after all this, we have arrived at the happy ending. Everyone is alive, including 𝐻𝑒𝓃𝓉𝒶𝒾, who was supposed to be dead. Hey 𝐻𝑒𝓃, I fucked your mom, by the way. Everyone has prepared a celebration party for us, and I guess it's time to start a party then. No. This can't be. I've saved everyone. Why is it still a bad ending? Hold on. Maybe I can choose to touch the fog with someone else instead. Maybe that will lead me to a happier ending. I chose Dorothy, and we are married. She's wearing a naked apron. Life couldn't be happier than that. Dorothy is dead. In fact, no matter who we choose, we only get a brief moment of happiness until unavoidable tragedy hits. None of our companions get to live a happy life with us till the end. They are all dead in the most horrific way possible. Is there really no hope in this cruel war of black souls? Wait, someone did mention filling up the library to reach the truth. I've not mentioned this until now, but the first time we arrive at Snow White's castle, inside a room, we see a rabbit. Following it into a hole in the wall, we'll be taken into this weird place with a sign reading, "If you fall, you die." I proceed to jump down the cliff anyway, and instead of dying, we're now in a new area called Wonderland. You know, you fell into a rabbit hole and landed in Wonderland. Alice in Wonderland. Wonderland is nothing like any of the other areas in the game. Assets being placed randomly, spinning pink rabbits, they'll give us matches, and white rabbits that are stuck inside a wall. It truly is a fever dream of an area. But let me tell you, this place is amazing for farming souls. Each of the rabbit enemies drops 10,000 souls each, and with the ring that increases souls gain, you can get a stupidly high amount of souls without much effort. Anyway, at the end of the path, we'll reach a place that flashes us 3 different colors at the entrance. This place is filled with rabbits that we can talk to, and each of them is weird as fuck. There's this rabbit that yaps a lot, a rabbit that tells us Mary Sue is the one pulling the string and ended up getting killed, 2 rabbits talking about which gender the protagonist of a hedge game should be. One prefers male for self-insert purposes, and one prefers female because they want to play as a cute girl instead of a filthy male. I agree with both of them. By the way, there's a chimera blocking the entrance to a building, and it will ask us a quiz when we talk to it. The quiz is just incomprehensible rambling, and none of these answers matter anyway since it will attack us afterwards. Defeating it and heading inside the building is a library. Is that Alice sitting over there? Apparently this Alice here is not the Alice we saw at the start of the game. That Alice was dead. And this Alice is just a puppet that the first Alice left here to help us. I'm just gonna refer to this Alice as Puppet Alice, or else it's gonna be too confusing. Puppet Alice asks us to return the missing books to their original place. By books, she means those books that are dropped by the bosses once defeated. There are a total of 24 books that we need to return. So let's get started then. The Adventures of Sinbad. The boss is located at the top of Hotel Poseidon. Peter Pan, the head at the Gothel's Tower. Musicians of Bremen, those animals at the Behemoth Ranch. Pied Piper of Elixir, in the sewers. Knight in Armor, big armor dude that's actually 5 cats inside. King's New Clothes, Iron King at the Rottenberg. Ugly Duckling, inside the chamber where we are at the beginning of the game. Jack and the Beanstalk, randomly appear after a while in the abandoned forest. Dog of Elixir, the dog at the cathedral in Graveyard Town Elixir. Singing Bone, the boss at the bottom of the skeleton maze. Hansel and Gretel. Fuck. Actually, when we go back and visit both of them again, we are met with the sight of them dead already, killed by the horse guy of the Black Trial. There is no way to save them from him, and all we can do is now pick up the book and move on. I won't forget you both, especially Hansel, for the homophobia that you are. 3 Little Pigs, book by the bone. King with donkey ears, the boss on the 2nd floor of Snow White's castle after you've killed Snow White. Aladdin and the Wonderful Lamp, the big monster at the pyramid. Iron Hans, at the very top of the mountain at the skeleton maze. Beauty and the Beast, Just Kill Belle. Pinocchio, the guy at the counter in Hotel Poseidon. North Wind and the Sun, the 2 knights of Cinderella. Tortoise and Hare is an annoying one to get. For this particular book, we need to finish a series of side quests that includes 2 NPCs, the Tortoise Knight and the Hare Knight. First, We need to talk to the tortoise knight in the abandoned forest, then save the hare knight in the prison cell. Then talk to the tortoise knight at Jacob's disused mine, where he will trick us into falling into a pit filled with enemies. Then the hare knight at the left of the cathedral in Graveyard Town Elixir. Once we have finished talking to them at these 4 locations, head left to the bridge until we reach the secret garden, where we will find these 2 arguing. These 2 have held grudges against each other and are currently fighting to the death. We can interfere by helping one of them or killing both of them. By killing one of them, the one we help will thank us and point us to an area with a treasure chest, which is a mimic. If we choose to kill both of them, they will stop pretending and reveal that this is just a game to them. They are trying to compete to see who can trick us into killing the other. Now, knowing both of them are just assholes, let's have you so discharge their asses. Back to the books. The last 5 are just the demonic princesses: Snow White, the Little Mermaid, Cinderella, Frog Princess, and Rapunzel. no, not Rapunzel. My beloved Rapunzel. I'm so sorry, but I've no choice. Well, after all 24 of the books have been returned, report it back to Puppet Alice, and she'll tell us that the original Alice has left a message for us. The door that we have no way of accessing before can now be opened, and inside it is a room surrounded by Alice? These bookshelves. Oh no. I should have known in the first place. Those fairy tale books not only draw from bosses, but our companions as well. It is really ironic that all those companions we have tried so hard to save, we will need to kill them with our own hands later. But since the girls are already our companions, there's not really a way to kill them, unless you guys remember a certain way that we can do that back in Hotel Poseidon. In that place, we can choose a companion to spend a night in a room with them, a room that we can't leave unless we have sex with them or one of us being dead. This is the only way to properly end the lives of our companions, and it is cruel. All of them follow us into this room with the intention of spending a sweet time with us, only for us to betray them, leaving them confused and shocked as to why we would do this to them. Some do fight back, however, like Elizabeth and Dorothy, especially Dorothy. We can really see how she genuinely loves us and how betrayed and disappointed she feels. With that, we have murdered every single companion in the game, which we don't actually need to kill everyone, by the way, since Leaf and Miranda are not fairy tale characters, and killing them has absolutely zero meaning. I was just dumb and thought I had to kill everyone to progress. The moment we return to the Holy Forest is a lot emptier now. Those companions who were there before are now gone, and we did this just to pursue the truth. Returning the remaining books to the bookshelf. Oh, there's one more. Alice, I'm sorry. After returning the remaining books to the bookshelves, a lever will appear on the wall, and the game warns us that there's no turning back after pulling this lever. Once we leave the room, we are sent back to the Holy Forest that is in ruins now. We can talk to the prayer master, and he will reveal to us that this is what the Holy Forest looked like originally. Mary Sue is the one behind all this and has the ability to shape the world however she desires. Prayer Master also confesses that he has been helping Mary Sue this whole time. Now he only wishes us to take down Mary Sue once and for all. Continuing up the path, we can find Leaf getting ganged up on by 3 other fairies. They all turn into slime for some reason and went insane. Saving Leaf from the 3 of them, she'll follow us to the final battle against Mary Sue. Keep walking through this broken wall and... what the fuck are you doing here? Have you so discharged? Finally, we've reached the very end of the path. But there's no one here. Leaf tells us that Mary Sue is hiding somewhere, and we need to expose her true identity for her to appear. The game then pops up a menu for us to enter the name ourselves. Honestly, it is very obvious at this point who Mary Sue actually is. The only one who didn't have a bad end in their individual ending. The one who is still alive despite the war breaking down. The one who accompanies us from the very start. Leaf is Mary Sue herself. Leaf, or Mary Sue, tells us that she's actually a god and was behind all these tragedies that we've encountered throughout the game. She, as a god, is tired of this boring war until one day she read some fairy tales of a certain author. Us. Grimm, Lewis Carroll, and Anderson are all real-life authors, and they are also us. We are Grimm. Mary Sue is so fascinated by our works that she decided to repaint the war with the fairy tales we've made. She altered the stories, inserted them into this war, and even erased our memories, putting us into this war and making us protagonists of it. This is it. We are facing the mastermind behind the scene, God herself. Mary told us that she has erased our undeath, which means if we die in this battle, it will be the game over for us. Sounds pretty tough if only I didn't have this one little thing called Heavy Soul Discharge. Anyway, we have defeated Mary Sue with the power of broken spells, but instead of killing her, we, Grimm, embraces her, which made Mary confused as to why, but we keep embracing her, whispering how much we love her, and Mary Sue fell for us just like that. Behind the psychopathic behavior, Mary is just a lonely girl who yearns for love. Maybe in this crumbling world, despite the horrible things she has done, she might have her happy ending in the end. That's not happening. Mary Sue will have an ending that's fitting for her. A hopeless ending that ends with betrayal. We strangle Mary to death. And that's it. She's dead. The companions we have killed have all come back to life. Or was it an illusion? At this point, no one can tell if we've already succumbed to insanity. With the god that created the world being dead, what will be the future of this crumbling world? Yep, that's the truth that we worked so hard for, and it's all for nothing. There is, in fact, one last ending in the game that has been added as DLC after the game's release. For this ending, we need to head to the new DLC area that we can access by going into this cave at the tainted bog. After dodging some enemies in this new area, we'll find ourselves arriving at Black Court, the headquarters of the Black Trial. Here, we can meet the leader of the Black Trial, Performant, mercilessly killing someone. For her to hear us out, we need to have a pure soul in order to do so, as having just one sin will automatically trigger a battle with her. Performant will then give us some headhunting quests and promise rewards afterwards. The first target is Pinocchio, which we have already killed. The second target is the Clock Croc. It is located at the empty beach just outside the skeleton maze. The third target is a demon named Leonard, who is the namest demon in the Sabbath Forest. By the way, there's some lore that we can obtain by reading the diary here. There's a witch called Glinda, and she's Dorothy's friend. Glinda one day summoned something bad that turned the sky red and broke the war, which only happened once when we pulled the lever in ending C, huh? The last target is the Prayer Master. Yeah, the one in the Holy Forest. By killing the Prayer Master, we can no longer level up. But since we are already OP as hell, so heavy soul discharge it is. After completing all performance requests, she'll reward us with a pretty hairy sex scene, and she later asks if she can evacuate to the Holy Forest to avoid her enemies. Wow, I'm sure nothing will go wrong by inviting Satan into my sanctuary. Oh hi Hein, what's up? Whoa, teleporting back to the Holy Forest, it was not in a very good state. Yeah, I should have known better. Walking down these stairs and going through the door, we'll be taken into the void. And Leaf is asking for our help. As it turns out, Baphomet is actually Leaf's mom, which, how does anatomy work? We got into a fight with Baphomet and heavy soul discharge as always. After losing to us, Baphomet will ask for forgiveness from her daughter. Unfortunately, Mary Sue is not her daughter. We also witness our companions getting squished by her as well. Now in this war, there's no one left but Mary and us, and she planned to trap us here for all of eternity. And that is ending D, the final ending of Black Souls. Truth to be told, this ending left us with even more questions, and just generally a really unsatisfying ending. The only way to find out what happened is to play the sequel, Black Souls 2, that has yet to be released on Steam. But for the meantime, the story of Black Souls has come to an end, and I absolutely love this game to death. Black Souls is a game that has left a huge impact on me ever since I first played it. I really love how unpredictable things can happen in this game, and how something seemingly insignificant can lead to unfortunate events that I could have prevented. When it first reveals that I have to murder my companions to progress, the gut-wrenching guilt that I felt is something that I've never experienced in any other game. It forces the players to commit horrible things if they want to reach the so-called truth, and the result is an ending that is even worse than the last ending. I may have reached the truth, yes, but is it really worth it? Accompany that with interesting lore and characters, an obvious but still greatly executed twist, and an amazing soundtrack. The boss fight music in this game is just banger after banger. It's so good that I would just listen to it instead of fighting the boss. Anyway, Black Souls might just be one of my favorite H games, or one of my favorite games ever made. I highly recommend you guys try it out and experience the game your own way. It's not just some Gurren game. You can even turn off the sex part if you want to. I just want people to view this game more than just a weird hentai game with questionable stuff in it. Black Souls is more than that. It tells a story about how people enjoy watching a character suffer, as suffering builds character, but now the players are the ones suffering, blocked from getting just a moment of happiness because of a sick, twisted villain. Grim truly is the Denji of hentai games. As for now, the story of Black Souls has reached its final page, and hopefully we can get some more answers in Black Souls 2 someday in the future. There are still tons of mysteries revolving around the world and many questions left unsolved, such as What happened to Mary Sue in the end? Where did Red Hood go in all of the ending scenes? And most importantly, why is Alice alive? Who is Alice? And where is she? Yeah, where is Alice? I need to find her. I need to find Alice. Well, this is the end of this video, and the rest is just going to be me yapping about some stuff. So you could click off this video now if you want to. Anyway, how you guys enjoy this video? Is it good? Is it bad? Is it boring? For me personally, I think it's alright. It's not as good as I want it to be, but I've tried my best. I've tried to make it as interesting as I can. And it's hard. It's really fucking hard. I don't know how other YouTubers do it, but man, it's hard. I've always wanted to make a video on Black Souls ever since I first started reviewing H games. And originally, I was planning to make it when I have at least an audience that watch me regularly, so I won't waste time on making an hour-long video. But unfortunately, my last channel got nuked, and now I'm down to having like 10 subscribers. So I have no choice but to postpone on making the Black Souls video. But as time went on, I kind of just feel like, fuck it, just make it. God knows how long it will take until I can reach the amount that I have back in my old channel. At this point, if this video does well, great. If it does like shit and have like no views, it's fine. At least I finally released a video that I always wanted to make, and that's what's mattered the most to me. Also, sorry for not, I guess, make a somewhat good analysis on the game itself. I kind of just spoke some random shit about suffering and shit. I'm really sorry, but I'm really fucking bad at doing analysis or just writing analysis. But one thing I really love about this video is the outro. I really like the outro that I made, solely because I stole the idea from someone else. Like, the funny thing is, when I first thinking about how to make this video, the first thing that came to my mind is the outro. Like, I have to do an outro, and I have to use this soundtrack, which is that soundtrack that you've just listened if you watch the outro. I really like that soundtrack a lot, And I think it's really good for making an outro. And it turns out pretty good. It looks pretty cool to me, at least. Anyway, the next video we will return to my random 𝐻𝑒𝓃𝓉 review and no more hour-long stuff. Unless there are other 𝐻 games that I really want to talk about. But for the meantime, I like and subscribe, I guess. And leave a comment if you have something to say about this video, good or bad. I'll take it. And I guess that's pretty much it. That's all I have to say. And goodbye, I guess.